We Vicbourne fans have dreamed of a declaration of mutual love between Victoria and Lord Melbourne. The following are two fanfic scenes depicting how that statement could have been, in different contexts. Scene 1, Lord Melbourne is in bed, convalescent of bullet wounds, that he suffered when intervened to save the life of Victoria during an attack, happened shortly after the scene of the Rooks in Brocket Hall. Victoria walked over to the bed and saw Lord Melbourne directly to eyes. "Ma'am, I am glad to see that you are well," Lord Melbourne said in a weak broken voice, his eyes glazed, his face as pale as a corpse. Victoria opened her mouth to say something, but the emotion did not allow her to speak. She sat up in bed and could not contain herself. She leaned her body on Lord Melbourne's chest and began to cry like a little girl. Lord Melbourne was shocked and touched, and lifting heavily a hand he placed it on Victoria's head, stroking her hair. "Ma'am, you must not put yourself like this, normally the tears come at the funeral, not before," said Lord Melbourne. "Shut up, fool. It's not funny." Victoria almost screamed between mortified and angry. Lord Melbourne was astonished, for Victoria had never spoken to him like this. "Sorry, ma'am, it's not really funny, do not cry over this old fool, it's not worth it," said Melbourne sweetly. "Lord M, you don't know what I have suffered. I was so afraid of losing you. I was going crazy with pain. Is it that you still do not understand?" Victoria said with her face very close to the face of Lord Melbourne. "I have to tell you. I love you. I love you, Lord M. I love you, William. I love you more than my own life. Please, ma'am, please do not say any more. Do not commit yourself in that way." Lord Melbourne replied, feeling that his voice was failing, and holding back his tears. "No, this time you're not going to shut me up. I'm tired of shutting up. That day at Brocket Hall I wanted to tell you what I felt, but the protocol and my timidity did not allow me to express without hesitation what I felt. Now I can do it. What I feel is love, Lord M. I love you. You are my life. You are my reason to live, my love. You may think that I am a little girl, that I don't know what true love is, that I have not lived long enough to know. But I know. By God, I know. I feel something I cannot express in words. I only know that if you leave my life I wish I were dead. I don't want to live without you, I don't want to." Lord Melbourne closed his eyes, then opened them with an expression of sadness, of torment. "I never thought that you don't know what love is, ma'am. There are people who can live 80 years and never know love, never get to feel it. On the other hand, there are people with 15 or 16 years of life who already know and feel it, even the greatest love of their life. I have not doubted for a moment the strength and sincerity of your feelings," said Lord Melbourne as if it will cost him to speak for the emotion. "Then, you can tell me that you feel for me. I need to know, I need you to tell me the truth, that you swear on your honor or the most sacred thing for you. I need you to tell me, without subterfuge, without half measures, without veiled or coded expressions. I need you to confess what you feel for me, even if it's not what I want to hear, but I need to know if you love me as I love you," Victoria begged. Lord Melbourne breathed deeply, as if seeking strength, and then spoke in a somewhat clearer and more firm voice. "Ma'am. Victoria. I love you. I love you, Victoria. I love you, like I've never loved any woman. I love you more than I loved my wife even at the time when I was happy with her. I never thought I would love a woman again, and after my son died, I thought my heart was dead and I would not feel any emotion again, but you gave me back my life and my heart. You are the only reason I have to live, my love," said Lord Melbourne with sincere emotion. Victoria was crying and smiling at the same time, with a sweet gesture of joy on her face. But then, why? Victoria asked in a wrung-up voice. "Why do I rejected you? Do not you understand, Victoria? I had to do it for you. You have no idea what I had to do. My heart broke as much or more than yours. I wanted to say yes, kiss you and hug you, and accept your proposal, but I could not. The Queen of Great Britain married to a simple Viscount, who is old enough to be her father. And that above is a politician at the end of his career, the leader of a party and Prime Minister of Her Majesty? Your Prime Minister, ma'am. They will never accept it. They will not let you marry me, Victoria. It would be a constitutional crisis. And if you insisted, Victoria, your enemies would have used it to say that you are not ready to reign. You would give the reason to those miserable people who wanted to incapacitate you, who even wanted to declare you crazy, to impose a regency, so that they take away your functions and give them to you, to a regent, and you are practically imprisoned for the rest of your life, or worse, they force you to abdicate, to renounce the crown. I could not let them do that to you. But it was not your decision, Lord M. It must have been my decision. She exclaimed in a tone of anger and pity. It's mine, too, ma'am. Besides, it was not just for you, it was also for Britain, for our country. Since I saw you, Victoria, I saw greatness in you. I believed in you because I saw that you had the potential to be a great queen, and this country needs a good monarch. Our last two kings, your uncles, were terrible monarchs. Instead, you have great qualities and you have a great sense of duty. A young girl who, despite the adversity in which she grew up, had the strength to fulfill her obligations and confront those who wanted to manipulate her for own interests. In these times, Britain needs a queen who can unite the nation, who can strengthen the faith of the people in our institutions, and ensure that we continue along the path between tradition and change, reform without violence, avoiding violent disorders that shake the continent, the bloody and anarchic revolution. If you lose the crown, do you think any of your greedy uncles can unite the nation and arouse loyalty in the people? With one of your petty relatives in the throne, the stability of this country would be in serious danger. Could you live with that in the Victoria consciousness? If you had to abdicate to marry me, and you simply became the Viscountess of Melbourne, and if the country went off on a precipice, would not you end up repenting for not doing your duty, for giving up the role you were destined for, God or by fate? You were not born to be a simple housewife, a second-rate aristocrat who withers in a country residence next to an older husband. Do not kid yourself, Victoria. You're not an ordinary woman, and we both love this country too much, and we'd feel guilty about hurting it. I understand what you say, but still, you gave up so easily. Answered with great sadness Victoria. Easily? With ease, you say? Lord Melbourne replied in pain, in a tone of bitter reproach, almost offended. It's the most painful thing I've ever had to do. Only the day I had to bury my poor son I felt as much pain as I felt that day. To see you leave with a broken heart, feeling that I lost you forever, was for me as bitter as when I saw the coffin of my son descending to the grave. How can I explain what I felt? For me it was the end of my last illusion in life. If I lose you, my only reason to life dies. Do you know what makes me suffer, Victoria, every day? To think about what will happen the day you marry another, and also I stopped being your Prime Minister, what will become of me later? I will tell you, spend my last years of life locked in my lonely house, suffering for your absence, mortified knowing that you are in the arms of another man, that you share his bed, that he makes you his. You know what I have done, Victoria? I prayed to God that the day that happens, take my life fast, and not have to live many years in that hell. For me death would be a blessing if I have to live without you. Easy, you say? May they condemn me to hell, if it was easy for me. Oh Lord M, my sweet Lord M. Victoria exclaimed, and without thinking twice kissed him on the lips, a deep and tender kiss. Victoria, please, someone can see us. Lord Melbourne said to her, when she separated her lips of his lips. And that's why you're going to give up on my kisses? Victoria asked with a sweet smile and bright eyes. No, I will not, Melbourne replied, and brought his lips to hers, and they kissed for a long time.